So, today we're diving into Rolf Dobelli's The Art of Thinking Clearly. We're going to explore some of the hidden tripwires in our minds, the things that cause even the smartest people to make some truly irrational decisions. I mean, it's a huge question, right? You see brilliant leaders, savvy investors, maybe even yourself, make choices that, looking back, make absolutely no sense. Well, it turns out that intelligence isn't some kind of shield against bad judgment. The real culprit is often something a lot more basic. And the answer really comes down to what psychologists call cognitive biases. Now, these aren't just random mistakes. Think of them as predictable bugs in our mental software, these little shortcuts that probably helped our ancestors survive. The problem is, in our complex modern world, those same shortcuts can lead us way, way off track. So let's start by looking at a few of the most common mental shortcuts, the ones that feel so natural, but can so easily guide us down completely the wrong path. First up, we've got the mother of all biases, the confirmation bias. You see, our brains just love a good, consistent story. So what do? They subconsciously go hunting for any little piece of evidence that confirms what we already believe. And at the same time, they conveniently ignore anything that might challenge that belief. If you think people are basically good, you'll see heroes everywhere. If you think they're selfish, you'll see villains. Same world, just a different filter. So, what do you do about it? Well, there's this famous piece of advice for writers that works as a perfect metaphor. Murder your darlings. You know, just like a writer has to cut their favorite sentence if it doesn't serve the story, we have to be willing to challenge our most cherished beliefs. We have to actively go looking for evidence that proves us wrong. It's tough for sure, but it's absolutely essential for clear thinking. Alright, next up is a bias that totally plays on our love of taking the easy way out, the availability bias. Our brains just naturally give more weight to information that's easy to remember. Maybe it's dramatic or recent. Think about a corporate board, right? They might spend all their time focused on the quarterly reports that are sitting right in front of them, while completely ignoring the much harder to pin down, but way more important stuff, like a rival's new strategy, or their own team's sinking morale. And this is what makes it so dangerous. Our brains hate uncertainty so much that they will often grab onto the wrong information rather than have no information at all. This is exactly the kind of thinking that led banks to use a flawed financial formula for years. It was easy, it was available, even though everyone knew it wasn't quite right. And that one mistake, it ended up costing the financial world billions. But here's the thing. It's not just our own internal programming we have to worry about. Our thinking is massively influenced by the people around us. And as we're about to see, the pressure to just go along with the group can be an incredibly powerful and distorting force. A classic experiment by a psychologist named Solomon Asch shows this perfectly. The task couldn't be simpler. You just match the length of a line. Anyone can get it right. But what happens when you're in a room full of people, all of them actors, and they all start confidently giving the exact same wrong answer? Well, the pressure to conform suddenly becomes immense. And the results? They are just staggering. A full 1/3 of the time, the real subjects knowingly gave the wrong answer. They ignored the clear evidence of their own eyes, all because they didn't want to feel the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. That's the power of social proof. And this isn't just some weird thing that happens in a lab. It has massive real-world consequences. Just look at the Bay of Pigs invasion under President Kennedy. On paper, his advisory team was one of the most brilliant ever put together, and yet they all signed off on a plan to invade Cuba that was, to be frank, absurd from the very beginning. How? It's a textbook case of something called groupthink. Groupthink is what happens when a team values harmony and agreement over clear, rational thinking. People start to believe they can't fail, this illusion of invincibility. They figure that if nobody's speaking up, then everybody must agree. And maybe most importantly, nobody wants to be that one person who rocks the boat and gets kicked out of the group. So our thinking can be hijacked by the present company we keep, but it can also get trapped by the decisions we've already made. We literally become prisoners of our own history. And this brings us to the sunk cost fallacy. The more time, money, or emotion you pour into something, the harder it is to walk away, even when it's clearly a lost cause. I'm sure we've all been there, right? You keep watching a terrible movie because you already paid for the ticket, or you stay in a project that's failing because you've just invested so much time. It's not about making the best choice for the future, it's about trying to justify the past. In fact, this is so common that it's often called the Concorde effect. Why? Because both the British and French governments knew pretty early on that the Concorde supersonic jet would never make a profit. But they'd already invested so much money, so much national pride, that quitting felt like admitting this huge defeat, so they just get pouring money into it year after year just to save face. Okay, so we've seen how our minds can be fooled by faulty shortcuts, by peer pressure, and by our own past investments. It can feel a little hopeless. But there's actually a really elegant and powerful solution to all of this. And that solution is a concept called via negativa. It's just Latin for the negative path. And the idea is simple. Instead of trying to figure out how to be brilliant, you just focus on what not to do. The key to better thinking isn't about gaining more knowledge, it's about getting rid of the errors. Think about how Michelangelo created his statue of David. He didn't do it by adding clay. He did it by chipping away all the stone that was not David. And listen, this isn't some abstract idea. It is a powerful, real-world strategy. When you hear a legendary investor like Warren Buffett say this, he's describing via negativa perfectly. His incredible success doesn't just come from picking winners, it comes from systematically avoiding the losers. So here's the most important takeaway from all of this. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be a little less foolish. By understanding these cognitive biases, that confirmation bias, groupthink, sunk costs, you can learn to spot them, and then you can sidestep them. If you just focus on getting rid of the errors, the good decisions, they tend to take care of themselves. And that's where we'll leave it. But of course the real journey starts now, by actually applying this stuff. So the next time you feel absolutely certain about something, or you find yourself just nodding along in a meeting, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, which of these errors might be influencing me right now? Thinking clearly isn't something you achieve, it's something you practice.